we want to sit down and talk to you because we found out about your case and you speaking about sovereignty. Because I did that, they saw me as being a sovereign citizen. They thought I wanted to kill people or kill cops, and because of their run-ins in the past and their views of seeing sovereign citizens as being a threat to society. So I'm getting called and investigated by the FBI now, and I actually sat down and spoke with them, and that's where the conversation was. So I ended the discussion there. This is our tax dollars at work here, to where federal agents are being sent to investigate someone for expressing their freedom. So fast forward a little bit more. Now I'm in the courts, and I learned a little bit more since I'm now a sovereign and want to represent myself in court. I find out there's a difference between commercial law and contract law and common law, which is what we believe that we are under, the golden rule. Do as others as you would have be done unto yourself. But that's not it. Our laws are under commercial law. That's why each infraction comes with a price. Anything that you do, you can pay a certain amount of money and you can get out of jail free. Murder, whatever the case may be. So I'm seeing this injustice in our court system, in our law enforcement system, not only at the local level, but then at the highest level, at the national level. And this is very disturbing to me. So this fueled me to then want to run for office myself, because I'm thinking of, hey, who's the one in charge in our own state? If I can't call a sheriff to protect me, or who do I call the police? The police, pretty much. And it all fell on the governor's shoulders. So I really pointed the blame at him. So I originally started my first efforts to run for office to recall Governor Jerry Brown. And I started that effort to recall Jerry Brown, and my offer to people was get him out of office and get me in there, pretty much, as a replacement for him. And when I first ran, I ran as an independent in 2014, which is extremely difficult because people don't really believe you can have a chance at all as a politician, really, unless you're part of the two-party system. So being an independent really was definitely seen as being a great show for opportunity, but it was just more so like a pat on the back, pretty much. People promoted the cause, but not more so the change. And also in me running as an independent, it was a struggle to get ballot access. I pretty much had to petition to get signatures to get onto the ballot. I ended up only qualifying as a write-in candidate, and that was very difficult. Also, running as an independent, you have no party support, you have no financial support. It's hard to do fundraising and actually get people inspired into investing into your campaign or your pursuits to serve them. So this was very difficult. But the one thing that I did learn in my first run for governor in 2014 was the shortfalls of voter turnout that the Democrats were exploiting. Governor Jerry Brown won in 2014 against a Republican candidate in a primary election by only a 250,000 votes. Jerry Brown won the primary with a little over 2 million votes. His Republican opponent won 800,000. So that means an extremely low voter turnout for that election. The previous one, where he went up against Meg Whitman, was an even lower voter turnout. And the previous before that was Schwarzenegger against all of everybody else, and that was an even lower voter turnout. So what the history has shown is that this next gubernatorial election will have an extremely low voter turnout, historically low voter turnout, because of the top two candidates being unpopular, which are Democratic candidates. That's Villaraigosa and Gavin Newsom, the ex-mayor of Los Angeles and our current lieutenant governor. They're both Democrats, and they're hoping to take advantage of that top two primary system, where if they end up winning the majority in June, they'll be the only to proceed in November. So I saw this as being a way for any candidate to pretty much capture the majority at that point in time to be able to proceed to the general election. So Fast forward to now, where I'm running as a Libertarian in the next election. The Libertarian Party is the third largest party in the United States. We have state ballot access. So all I have to do is pretty much get my name on the books and as a candidate, and I'll be able to make sure that my name is on every printed ballot throughout the state. And with the party being the third largest, we're able to get more publicity and national, statewide recognition. Also, with fundraising, it's still a little bit difficult, but because I'm a Libertarian, I'm able to reach out to the base of Libertarians. We have nearly 250,000 registered Libertarians in the state, and we're the only growing party in membership. Both the Republicans and Democrats have lost members since the last election, and we're the only growing party in the state. So it's a great opportunity for the Libertarians to come in and actually steal an election for once, because we can take advantage of that two-party system. We can take advantage of the Republicans and Democrats losing their hold on the majority. So as long as we come in and win them over with our ideals and what we're proposing for the state, then we can win in 2018. So what I'm proposing to everyone here and letting you know is I don't need $1 million to win. I just need 1 million votes, because this next election is going to be another spending frenzy. I guarantee you the Democrats, Republicans, hands down going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to be thrown away to the wind. So when we talk about throwing away your vote, those are really throwing away your vote, and it's an expensive one. With me, you'll be investing into a smaller amount of money to accomplish exactly that reaching out to those millions of voters that we are actually going to need. I actually am doing my best to win over one person at a time. I'm thinking that if I win over one person at a time, I'll be able to accomplish getting that 1 million votes that I need to proceed through the primary to get through to the general. The Democrats and the Republicans, they're going to cater to organizations, whether it be unions or special interest groups, etc., to cater to them in order to get their votes, in order to get their money. I'm not. I'm reaching out to the people to let you know that I am a representative of you and am only going to be beholden to you, period. And of course, I feel like I'm the most attractive candidate running for office, mainly because of my winning platform and my winning personality. I mean, my platform is revolved around tax reform, reform of government, and restoring your right to choose. Californians are feeling the pinch of taxes, especially with this new gas tax. So it definitely would be one of the things that I would repeal, but the tax code itself needs to be reformed altogether. I believe the state's finances needs to be audited from the top down. The UC president right now, Janet Reno, she is under investigation for having squandered over $200 million in taxpayer dollars. So when we talk about funding for education, there's a great waste of it right there. So what's happening to our tax dollars? We need to know. And I will definitely make sure that everyone here does know, since transparency is part of that platform.
I had that picture of Janet Reno on my thing. It's Janet Napolitano.
Janet Napolitano, pardon me.
Yeah.
I'm tossing Janets in my head. Good thing I didn't say Janet Jackson. But so, and as I said before, I feel as if I have a winning personality. I feel as if once the people of California get an opportunity to meet me, I'll be able to outshine any other candidate that's put up on the stage. Whether it be Gavin Newsom, Villaraigosa, or any of the Republican candidates. You got John Cox, Travis Allen, all of which, of course, will definitely end up bringing a certain amount of votes, but they'll be sacrificial lambs. Again, this is an opportunity for people to feel empowered for their vote and stop feeling like they have to choose between the lesser of two evils. So I would love for everyone here to support me and talk about me and get everyone that they know to talk about me. I'm rallying for your support. I do have my petition here. In order for me to get onto the ballot, I'll need to either pay $4,000 Okay, this is your freedom of speech too. As a public representative, why should we have to pay so much money? But it's about classism as well. And if you can't afford to pay to play, they don't want you to have any voice at all. So it's $4,000 to get onto the ballot, or I can collect a certain amount of signatures, which I'm doing here through my petition. And so please, if you would love to sign for me, please do. I'm also looking for donations. I'm asking everyone to donate $18 per month for the next 6 months. What $18 a month will do, if I get 1,000 people to give me that 18, that's $18,000 each month. So that's more than enough money that I need to get lawn signs, to buy Facebook advertisements. Believe it or not, those are expensive. And you can win elections through Facebook. Believe it or not, it can be done. So lawn signs, bumper stickers, all of this stuff costs. So I'm asking anyone to donate whatever they can, however they can. And volunteer, become a staffer for my campaign. I am looking for people to help get the word out there, whether it be helping with the petition or going out there to canvass for donations, but anyway, anything that you can do to help. It's what I'm calling my Wildstar Challenge, and it is on my website, which is wildstar2018.com. If you go to my website and click on challenge, I'm just asking anyone to do whatever they can to get involved. Even if you can't give money, if you have a printer, you can print out signs off of my website and do it yourself. I'm pretty much promoting do-it-yourself type of activities for the communities to get involved with my campaign. And at this time, I just feel like it's imperative for we the people to rise up and fight against what's going on. We don't have a war on drugs. We don't have a war on terror. We have a war on liberty. That's what's more so happening. And we're feeling it more so on the ground level, at the grassroots level, opposed to the people at the top. And that's why they call them the 1% versus the 99. No matter how much you go up that ladder, we're all going to feel what's going on with the government restricting our freedoms. So to restore our liberty, I'm definitely, again, asking for the people here of Jefferson State to support my campaign and help me bring back liberty. Vote Libertarian, of course, in the next election, June 5th, 2018, and vote Wildstar for governor. That's me, Nicholas Wildstar. Thank you so much for your time and all of your support.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you so much, Nicholas. That was mighty. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And questions, yes.
Yeah. I have a question.
All right.
On your platform,
Yes, sir.
what would be some of your, let's say if you could list 3 priority categories, what would be your platform that you could use against any of the candidates to ensure that your you're being elected to governor?
Okay. Well, when it comes to the Democrats, I have that no taxation. Gavin Newsom right now is promoting a program where he's saying the state can fund up to 1 million houses. And this is government funding being used for this purpose. He's saying he wants the state of California to build its housing industry and pretty much use tax funding for it. John Chiang, another candidate that's running for governor as a Democrat, he's actually proposing that we provide a universal basic income. So these are ways that, again, the taxpayers in California will be funding what they feel like is a lost cause, our unfunded liabilities, our welfare program, our pension program. Don't even get me started on that. Our medical care system, our educational system, where the Democratic Party's mindset is to pretty much, again, take taxpayers' money and supposedly use it for the good will of the society, which they do not. The Republicans, they're pretty much just, they're not as popular, number one. And when it comes to the Republican platform, they do want to cut taxation, which is what I would like to do. but they're also crony capitalists. They will continue to have that relationship with government and maintain that with certain government organizations to keep that going. For instance, the Department of Motor Vehicles. That relationship needs to be ended to where there needs to be multiple departments of motor vehicles and open it up to free enterprise. Why is the state charging you to exercise your right to travel? That's your driver's license, pretty much. That's what it is. Every sort of bit of licensure of the state is going to be promoted by the Republican Party. They're going to still require for you to have a fishing license. They're going to still require for you to have a gun license. These are ways that, as a libertarian, we'll be able to restrict those assaults on our freedom by restricting the government. My goal is to put government back in the box where it belongs. When they say in the Second Amendment, your right shall not be infringed, there isn't any, dot by dot or, bullet points after that, or, dot, dot, dot. It says shall not be infringed, period. So the politicians that are in office right now, the legislators, they need to be reminded of that. And if they propose any bill to me as governor, I would veto it, period. Every time.
I would say that the greatest threat, I think, in California right now is wildfires. And if you run on a ticket that say, I will do everything in my power to stop these wildfires, I will work with the federal government, CAL FIRE, and everything, and make sure that people have safety and security in a state that is running out. If you ran on that ticket alone, you could win.
I believe that could definitely help. I'm not going to pretend to be a superhero, though. I know my name is Wildstar, and it sounds like one.
No, Wildstar can prevent wildfires.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would say
work.
the best way I could stop wildfires.
That's my trademark. Now I'll sell it to you.
All right. The best way I would say I would be able to help the state be able to fight wildfires is let innovation take over. Government constrictions, they actually prevent people in the community from getting involved in fighting fires in their own neighborhoods. That's against the law. So how can you tell people they can't protect their own property away from, a threat versus, again, relying on the state to do so? So if we empowered the people of our community, of our neighborhoods, and let them know, hey, you have the right to, of course, fight your own fires.
Well, preventing fires is really where the problem is.
And that's where
In other words, like
free enterprise would come into
selective
play.
logging
Mhm.
and bringing contractors in to log like they used to because we got too many trees.
There we go. Absolutely. There's tons of ways that we can reduce the amount of fires that happen in the state of California. We're just, again, not exercising them because of those rules and regulations. Huh?
Yeah, it's one of the giant failures of Jerry Brown, who 7 years ago put into effect the fire prevention fee.
Mm-hmm.
And the state went out to the rural areas and taxed us all.
Wow.
And they've collected over $500 million of that money. And it cannot be used for firefighters, for equipment, or any of that. It's for fire prevention.
Wow.
They spent a few $100,000 of that money, but almost all that money has gone into the general fund.
Oh my God.
Same thing has happened in Orange County. We're out of state. The emergency fund, I believe, has swelled to about $200 million, but because it hasn't been used, it goes into the general fund. And the complaint from the people in Orange County, which is why it's growing from, the Republican base that it used to be to the Democratic base to now a more Republican conservative minded base, is because they're seeing that happen, the squandering of funds, public funds, and then being wastefully spent. So yes, there's definitely, and with them taking so much money in Orange County, how much fires do we have? Next to none. So if on a statewide level, if that money was used on those areas where fires have a greater chance from happening, now we have an opportunity to prevent those fires from happening. As not only that, but as I was saying before, with free market opportunities, there's actually businesses that come up with better ways to fight fires, but we prevent them from actually utilizing them. I've seen a report where some developers created a foam, okay, to spray on fires, and it would kind of like create a wall and block it in. Well, there's environmental, licensure, all of these certain hoops that they have to go through and jump over just to make the product available to the public. So get government out of that. Now the company can offer that directly to the fire department. And if they want to put it into practice and see if it works, guess what? That company just made money and they've become reputable to where more fire departments will start buying that product from them. And California is a state of innovation. I mean, it's a way for us to grow the state and create more opportunities for other states across the country when it comes to our technology industry, when it comes to our entertainment industry, when it comes to our tourist industry. There's ways, again, to where if the government got out of it, we would see more growth, we would see more job creation, we would see more prosperity for everyone here, for every person. And not to mention, again, with those taxes, reducing the taxes, because along with those taxes being cut, there needs to be a cut in spending. Government spends way too much wastefully. This California high-speed rail going to nowhere, they've already wasted nearly $2 billion in taxpayers' money. So it definitely could be spent much better on infrastructure projects, or even just given to those who need it the most. Any other questions? All right.
I do have one question.
All right.
In regard to, could you elaborate a little bit on some of your findings with the health of the people in California, and everything from geoengineering to what you feel about the vaccine SB277, how you could help change that?
Oh yeah, that would definitely be repealed immediately and abolished. get gone. Telling someone that they don't have the right to choose for themselves, to me, is just completely inhumane. I'll tell you a quick story. One of those times where I was fighting against the police for, being that freedom fighter. Of course, they're not going to recognize my jurisdiction of self, so I ended up getting thrown in jail, and so I'm there. But while I was there, you're asked a certain amount of questions when you first come in by a counselor. So they do this psychic evaluation, I guess, and they ask you, do you hear voices? So being a man of faith, a man of God, if you say, well, I hear God's voice, guess what? You're going down to the psych ward. Believe it or not, that's what happened to me. So when they send you down to the psych ward, when you go in, you get your, oranges and your uniform, but when you go there, they take all of your clothing. Yeah. And they give you a tarp, pretty much, to sit in this cold cell in. They came back, they asked me questions, I was arguing with them. Next thing you know, they took me to solitary, and they're shooting a vial of something in my ass. Next thing you know, I'm out for hours. I wake up, I can't even be cognitive. Yeah, I'm disoriented and just.
Sounds like a good buzz.
Whatever it was, I didn't want it. That's what, and that should be my choice. But they didn't care about my religious beliefs. They didn't even ask. You see, that's how it is with government. They don't even ask you anymore. They just look at you as being their property, your property of the state. We're going to take advantage of you. And even when you're not in there, when you're out here, you're property of the state. You have to get your car registered with the state. You have to register your property with the state, whether it be your gun, your car, your home. Why is there a need for you to register anything with the state unless the state is, again, claiming authority over that so it can seize it at some point in time and say it's mine? We need to let them know it's mine and you need to stay in your place. And the only thing that's going to do that is a governor that's willing to stand up against the government body itself and let them know where they stand. Let them know they took an oath to uphold the United States Constitution. I would be upholding that oath. It is an oath of honor. I'm not going to affirm it. I'm not going to make sure any government administrative affirms it. I will make sure that they uphold that oath, and or they will face the charges of treason. So this is the kind of hard line I will draw as a governor to make sure that everybody in the state of California and their constitutional rights are upheld and protected and appreciated, respected.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you want to mention geoengineering?
Oh, yes. I would definitely bring the geoengineering program to an end to make sure that the skies of California have a better opportunity of becoming cleaner. Right now, we have one of the lowest air qualities in the world. So we definitely don't want to catch up with China, where they're walking outside and seeing smog. You know, it's fog smog. But if you look at Los Angeles, it's becoming that. The smog there is growing, it's increasing. Then with the geoengineering, that doesn't do anything more to reduce that. It exacerbates the problem. You have them spraying aluminum, you have them spraying certain levels of barium. And these are poisonous materials that we're ingesting them, and they're claiming that since it's at such a small level, it's not anything that can harm us. But again, this is being done constantly over time. So we got to think.
That's just what they tell you.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it's just like the fluoridation in the water and the psychoactive drugs that they use in the water. They put this in the water. What is it called?
The
Estrogen.
BPA.
Yes.
BPA in the bottles.
So these are ways that we're drinking it. It's on our body, on our skin. We're using it on our food. We got to question the quality of it. So I would definitely retroform the water system in our state to actually alkalinize it. I think that would be a permanent solution. My ideals are surround around and revolve around permanent solutions. If we alkalinize the water, put it through an alkalinized filtration system, now any water that comes through our dams, and we can salinize the water from our ocean and have it be alkalinized. And now we're increasing the amount of water that we have in California opposed to experience periods of droughts. So we have more water than enough to use and to drink, and keep companies like Nestle away that siphon 100 million gallons of fresh water, then bottle it and sell it back to us. Why are they in the state and allowed to do what they do? And it's because they have friends in office that keep them in business. And Republican or Democrat, they're going to keep politics as usual. We need to change that completely, topsy-turvy, switch it on its head. And that's what I'm saying. For 4 years, while I'm in office, that's what you'll see, a complete reform and change of government to where it's one is respecting your liberty, respecting your freedom, and protecting your constitutional rights. Because the Constitution is for government to recognize of you. It's not to say that you are limited to those rights. My favorite amendment is the 9th Amendment. Does anybody know here what the 9th Amendment says? Great, I'll summarize it for you. It says that government recognizes every right here up until now, but we know there are more rights that we can't put on paper to say that we can limit or restrict that. You have the right to breathe. You have the right to love whoever you want. You have the right to laugh and cry. You have inalienable rights that our Creator has given us that the government can't dictate and say what it is. So those first 1 through 8 is just the basics, so to speak. And that's why Jefferson said, hey, first that freedom of speech, needs to be respected. 2nd Amendment, the right for you to protect yourself, just in case government goes and tries to overthrow you as an individual. You need to be able to protect yourself. And what's crazy is they talk about the restrictions of guns, but I think futuristic. Right now, our government is testing lasers. Imagine our police personnel that, government officials having lasers at their disposal. What are you going to use to protect yourself? Bullets are only going to do so much at that point. I'd like to be able to have a laser too. I don't, advocate weapons, but I do advocate one being able to protect themselves. So there should not be any restrictions there. Alcohol, tobacco and firearms needs to be the name of a store, convenience store, not the name of a government agency. So it definitely needs to be tons of reform all across the board. And again, these are the hard lines in the sand I will draw as governor of California.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, we'll take a few more questions.
What's your position on and what would you do about the economic paralyzation?
That's the EPA.
Yeah. You mean the environment is supposed
Environmental, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's another one that needs to be dismantled, or at least turned over to be an independent source to where it's not funded or having any engagement with the government. Because it is one that's easily corruptible. During Hurricane Katrina, I've worked with companies where they squandered hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money on supposedly helping victims. It wasn't being used for that. It was being used to help those people at the top that wanted to maintain their certain amount of salary and status and, you know, luxuries, opposed to helping those in need. So there's, I would say, tons of ways, or insurmountable amount of ways, to where our government has been found to be guilty of treason, which it is. And they're taking the public's trust for granted. That oath of office is us entrusting them with the powers that we delegate to them. We are a nation that is governed by a body that we give the power to. They're not an oligarchy. They're not a audiotocracy. You know, they're not a dictatorship. They are a group of individuals that we hired, and if we don't like it, we can fire them and replace them. So yeah, EPA, no more EPA.
Thanks for recalling Moon and working on it.
No problem.
Well, before we close, there's a couple comments I'll make, but could you reach in and grab one of those names out of there?
Okay, you got it. Here we
All
go.
right, thank you kindly, because we do have a little raffle going.
All right, and the winner is Don. Hey! You were meant to win, my man.
They are 15.
Verify this and see if you have a permit to read it.
I need to sign up for that.
But thank you.
But yes, I do have again my petition here. If anyone would like to sign up for my mailing list, I do have that here as well. I also have some world's smallest quizzes. If you haven't taken this before, it's called the world's smallest quiz, and it will let you know where you lean. If you lean left, if you lean right. Believe it or not, the majority of you, I assure you, will lean center where it is libertarian. That's why I implore you all to vote libertarian. And I also, if I could do this, I have the book Freedom by Adam Kokesh. If you haven't read this before, it is definitely a great read. It talks about liberty on many levels, as well as government's faults and how we should correct them as a society. So if you haven't read this before, I have 2 copies here that I'd be willing to auction off, as well as autograph. So if there's anyone here that would like to purchase one, I can start the auctions at $5 each. $5, any takers?
I'll take it.
All right, I got 5, 10, anybody 10?
I'll give you $20.
What? We up 20? All right. That's just for one though. How about the other?
I'll look at it.
Are you a 501c4?
It's a C3. So yeah, it's not like a nonprofit organization because none of the money that you give is able to be written off. It's going towards, no. It's an investment to the cause. So it's going towards, again, getting that name of liberty out there and freedom.
Well, I really want to thank Nicholas for traveling so far. How many miles is it?
I'm not sure.
It must be like 350 to 400 miles.
It's probably more than that. It's about like a 7-hour drive.
Well, I'm going to pass
Orange
around
County,
out for a little
Fullerton.
bit of your travel budget because
Oh, thank you.
I know it's expensive to get up here, so I'm going
Oh,
to.
Oh, thank you very
I'm gonna give
much.
you a check if that's okay.
Absolutely.
That's
Get
fine.
that autograph.
Autograph.
You got it. All right. 20 on the
Woo,
second.
thank
So we have
you.
2 for 20? Oh, what? Is that 100? We have one for 100.
Oh my goodness.
All right, one for 100, one for 20. Going once, going twice.
Can I have the other one for 100?
Oh, we have two for 100. All right. All right. Well, I don't think nobody here is going to top that unless we have someone going once, twice, two for 100 each. Thank you guys so much. And thank each and every one of you. May the light of God and liberty shine on each and every one of you. God bless you all.
For Nicholas.
Oh, thank you.
You guys.
You're so sweet. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
I also have my business cards here as well with my website.